Welcome back to Alternate Reality. I'm Chewburger84, and today I'll be taking you through the top 10 tips to progress quickly in Kabam's brand new mobile game, Disney Mirrorverse. Whether you're a Disney princess or someone looking to take your game to infinity and beyond, if you follow these tips, you'll be on your way to your happy ever after in no time at all. Tip number 1. Save that money. When you start playing Mirrorverse, it's very tempting to level every single talent and rank up every new character as soon as you can, but this can lead to your progress becoming incredibly stifled towards the end of the first act. The best strategy for spending gold right now is for leveling up the key talents only on your 3 first focus characters, but more specifically, save that gold for ranking them up. This is because the increase in cost for ranking a character up increases exponentially as you progress through the game. Rank 2 to 3, for example, will set you back a cool 15,000 gold, but from rank 3 to 4 will set you back a whopping 100,000 gold. Given how scarce gold is in the early game, this is definitely a currency you want to save for a rainy day. Tip number 2. To avoid or to counter, that is the question. In the tutorial, you're shown how to counter a character of a certain type during their special ability by using a character of the same type and color and hitting their special ability at the same time. This stuns the target and gives you time to strike them, but the downside is that to do this, you have to spend precious mana points for this opportunity, and this can drastically reduce your offensive and healing output. Most of the special abilities in the game are very easy to avoid, simply by dashing away from the highlighted area in time, meaning you can avoid taking this damage and still have plenty of mana to take down your target. There are some characters, however, where this cannot be done, such as Maleficent, who hits all enemies with her special, and these should be countered instead. Ideally, you would want to take in characters of the same type that you need to counter with, but using the lowest mana cost per counter instead. For an example, if I wanted to counter a Maleficent, I need a ranged character to do this. Now if I took my Maleficent to counter this one, I would have to spend 4 mana points to counter every time the enemy used their special. However, if I took in Buzz Lightyear instead, his special and counter only cost 2 energy, meaning I have much more free mana to use for offensive and healing abilities to take her down as efficiently as possible. Knowing which fights can't be evaded and which need to be countered are a key part of succeeding in Disney Mirrorverse's harder levels. Tip number 3. Orbs and Mirrorverse talents. Orbs are the premium currency of the Mirrorverse that can be purchased for real money but can be farmed free to play by completing the story and short-time events within the game. For free to play especially, it's important to know where to spend these and what will give you the best return for your investment, especially in the beginning stages of the game. Now in those early stages, the most effective way to spend these orbs is to buy additional energy. This means that once you run out, instead of having to wait several hours to play the game again, you can keep progressing straight away. These are relatively inexpensive and can really help you gain a lot of headway through the story. Now once you have a few levels under your belt, however, normally around level 10 or so, this changes to wanting to pick the character shards from the store for the 3 characters that you intend on using for the time being, and keep doing that until you can get that character to 75 shards. The reason for this is when a Guardian gets to 75 shards, you can unlock that character's Mirrorverse talents. These are usually the most powerful passive ability upgrade each character has and makes them significantly more effective in combat. Once you have done this for all 3 of your main characters that you intend on using, you can then start doing the same process for any new characters you unlock, or you can simply save them for a rainy day. The faster you reach a Guardian's Mirrorverse talent, the faster you will start racing through this game. Tip number 4. The best team for the early game. The most efficient way to spend your resources early on is to choose 3 characters early and stick with them to get you through the story. The great news here is that one of the early combos of characters seems to be quite effective all the way through the first act, even through the hard event currently available in the game. Scully is the first tank you will get and is by far also the best. His ability to knock back all characters around him with the chance of stunning, while also gaining armor at the same time, makes him a very effective option to keep the focus of your enemies away from your healer and damage. Belle is going to be the first healer support character that you unlock, and is also currently the best in class there also. Her heals, an ability to increase armor as well as giving a large focus buff to all of your team when she unlocks her Mirrorverse talent, makes her incredibly effective at keeping your team alive. Buzz Lightyear is also usually the first range character you unlock and is the best, if not second best, range damage dealer in the game right now. Hitting armored targets from range and breaking their armor allows Buzz to stack up huge amounts of focus, meaning he can critically hit very frequently. This team is also one of the easiest to use because you can simply use Sully to move the enemy around with aggro and let the range characters do their thing from a safe distance. If you want to try something different, however, currently the best characters per class are Sully for tanks, Maleficent or Buzz for ranged, Scar for melee, and Belle for heals. Once you've established a good group, you can start working on your favorite characters as you unlock them for some backup. Tip number 5. The best things in life are free. Many games on mobile these days have heavy paywalls, and getting something for nothing is very rare. In Mirrorverse, however, it's important to make sure that you check back in your store multiple times per day, checking for a free store refresh. You see, every time you refresh that store, there is a chance that you will contain several items, talents, or even shards for zero cost. That's right, folks, free stuff. If you have a few orbs and are low on patience, you can refresh the store for a very cheap 5 orbs, but this isn't necessary as the store does reset quite a few times per day, and you are better off saving these as we talked about during one of the earlier tips. Tip number 6. I like to move it. When you see Mirrorverse gameplay for the first time, it can look like a hectic, chaotic mess, but when you understand the subtleties of controlling the team, it makes much more sense. You see, tapping on the character's portrait while in combat will select a primary guardian. This means that when you tap once on the screen, only that guardian will move or attack. When you double tap on the screen, however, all characters will move or attack at that location. This is important to know, especially when using a tank character, to position them in a way that will make most of the enemies hit the target that you want them to hit, rather than firing damage at your softer targets. This is because of a mechanic which in many games is called aggro. In other words, enemies will usually hit the character closest to them or the one doing the most damage to them. Moving your tank into the middle of a pack of enemies is usually the best choice, especially for Scully, as you can then potentially stun their entire team with one special while your damage dealers tear them apart. Some characters, however, will gain aggro on a random target, and you may need to keep running away to stay alive as well. Taking control of the right character at the right time is key to using minimal heals during combat, meaning you can get further through the game much faster. Tip number 7. Stash management and dailies. The last thing you want to happen with any rewards you reap in the Mirrorverse is to have them disappear on you. You see, your character can only hold on to a specific amount of items at any given time. The gems that you receive from the daily quests are a very good example. You see, these dailies are something you want to do every single day to stockpile gems for when you have enough gold to rank a character or a talent up. The problem is, once your inventory is full, a countdown will begin showing you that if you don't claim this extra resource before the timer runs out, it will disappear forever. So make sure after finishing the dailies every day you check your stash to see what may run out soon, and this way you can be sure you'll never waste any of your precious resources. Tip number 8. Tips for spenders. While it's easy to progress through the game as a non-spender, there are certainly some items that are better than others for those that don't mind splashing a little bit of their hard-earned cash on in-game items. The best packs at the moment are those that have gold in them, as that resource is by far the least common for free-to-play right now and can really take your characters forward in leaps and bounds. If packs do come up, however, that contain crystals instead, however, it appears that the premium crystals are so far the best value for most players in the early game. However, there is an element of RNG involved. If you'd prefer to have targeted progression to level up the characters that you want to take up, perhaps buying orbs and then waiting for those characters to show up in the store and buying them that way would be a better way to go as well. And that way you can buy specific talents for the characters that you are also using now. Later in the game, however, it seems that the talent crystals may be better to help level up to find those rarer talents which don't seem to appear in the store as frequently. Hopefully all of this combined means that you can keep more money in your pocket for more fun character packs in the future. Tip number 9. Flattening the curve. The story in Mirrorverse, like many games, gets progressively harder as you go along. By choosing the order in which you do these events, however, you can flatten this difficulty curve by maximizing the rewards versus the difficulty of each chapter. You see, each chapter has multiple rewards, one for the first time clearing each section or each quest, and another for fully exploring and collecting all of the stars within not only each quest but also each individual chapter. The best way to level up fast is to do all the quests once, only first, until the chapter is completed, always selecting the lane with the lowest difficulty so you can collect the first time rewards. Then, before going into the next chapter, go back to the start of that area and replay each mission until you have found all of the stars for that entire chapter, and then you will get the exploration rewards, which have a massive amount of resources usually when you have gotten every single star. Keep a lookout, however, during those story missions for collectible items as well. You see, when you complete a collection, there will also be some rewards for doing so, as well as some cool unlocks such as character portraits. If you use the focused orb strategy we discussed earlier, you should find you can get these collection bonuses much more quickly by also unlocking all the talents of each individual character. Combining all of this together, you should be able to smooth out the difficulty curve of Mirrorverse, especially through the first act, and that's going to make for a much quicker run through the game. Tip number 10. Keep on grinding. When you finish the early sections of the game but you're not quite ready for the harder sections yet, you can still keep slowly progressing the rest of your roster in the meantime. You see, once you've completed the first act of the story and also the normal event difficulty, you can keep farming the minor XP motes on the normal difficulty level of the event challenge that is currently in the game, as they keep reappearing on each track throughout each run. These minor motes, however, can only take Guardians to level 20 currently, but doing so while you wait for the rarer XP can mean that you can build up your secondary characters so that you're more flexible for newer challenges that might come down the road. This, combined with farming the daily quests every day, farming the free store refreshers, and keeping your eye out for bargains in the office section, is definitely a great combination of ways to keep on rising to the top of your game. Well, there you have it, folks, the top 10 tips on how to progress quickly in Disney Mirrorverse right now. What do you think? Did we miss anything? Is there something that you'd like to add? Make sure you leave them in the comment section below. And hey, while you're down there, why don't you leave us a like, a subscribe, and hit that notifications bell so that you can see more great content from Alternate Reality very soon. But until next time, cheers.